So, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, let's read it. Read it and weep, folks. The establishment is officially going after her big time. Exacerbated. Is that how you say it? Exacerbated. Democrats try to rein in Ocasio-Cortez. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is already making enemies in the House Democratic Caucus, and some of its members are mounting an operation to bring the anti-establishment Democratic Socialists with 2.2 million Twitter followers into the fold. The effort, described by nearly 20 lawmakers and aides, of course, all anonymous, won't put their name to it, is part carrot, part stick. Some lawmakers with ties to Ocasio-Cortez are hoping to coax her into using her star power to unite Democrats and turn her fire on Republicans. Others simultaneously warn Ocasio-Cortez is destined for a lonely, ineffectual career in Congress if she continues to treat her own party as the enemy. Quote, I'm sure Miss Cortez means well, but there's almost an outstanding rule. Don't attack your own people. Congressman Emanuel Cleaver. We just don't need sniping in our Democratic caucus. Oh boy. Oh boy. Don't attack your own people. AKA, fall your ass in line. Miss Ocasio-Cortez. You want to tweet? You want to do selfies? You want to dance? That's fine. But get the Democratic Party out of your mouth and make it all against President Donald Trump. Your thoughts, Jen?
First of all, thank you for all the welcome back messages. Before status quo, I used to work with Justice Democrats and, writing campaign copy and things like that, sales letters, emails, whatever they needed. And Alexandria has always been, as far as I can tell, the same person. Before she was elected, now that she's elected, she's always been her. And obviously, I think that the people telling her to sit down and shut up and not attack, her own people are absolutely wrong, because she is her own person and she's right. And people can have different points of view and all that too.
And what I find so interesting about this message, I'm sure Mrs. Cortez means well. She means well. But there's almost an outstanding rule. Don't attack your own people, Cleaver said. We just don't need sniping in our Democratic caucus. Yeah, well, how did that message work out for you in 2016? When you're all telling progressives, unite, fall in line. Trump is the enemy. Trump is the Antichrist. They're doing the same exact thing now, basically trying to co-opt a strong-minded, powerful, minority progressive who has been a breath of fresh air in an otherwise stale, old, corrupt, bought-off Democratic Party. Continued, incumbent Democrats are most annoyed by Ocasio-Cortez's threat to back primary opponents against members of their ranks she deems too moderate. But their frustration goes beyond that. Democratic leaders are upset that she railed against their new set of House rules on Twitter the first week of the new Congress. Rank and file are peeved that there's a grassroots movement to try to win her a top committee post they feel she doesn't deserve. So let me translate that for you. Why is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez attacking us for the democratic right, our freedom to dial for dollars? Why is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez attacking us for our humble, democratic, progressive act of kissing Wall Street's ass, of blowing fossil fuel executives, excuse my French, of dining with pharmaceutical executives, of buddying up to real estate developers? How dare you threaten to challenge us in elections? This is just how Washington is, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is how progress is made. Change happens in increments. And you can't, Rome wasn't built in a day, Alexandria. So instead of trying to primary us, why don't you work with us? I've heard this before. Your thoughts, Jennifer?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. There are no words for it. There's no reason for it. There's no reason why she should have to sit down and shut up. And by the way, I think we should be free to criticize AOC as well. She's not perfect. She's not going to do perfect things always.
She still hasn't tweeted out our Flint story.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah, it's bizarre how people try to frame the conversation and make people not talk about the truth, not talk about their truth.
But this is the Democratic playbook. This is essentially Trump, 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 Russia, 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 Russia. It's like the Brady Bunch. Marsha, 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 Russia, Russia, Russia. And essentially say, don't attack your own people. We need to be unified against Trump. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is smart enough, and she understands what the Democratic Party has done and has not done for the community she represents, part of the Bronx, part of Queens, to know, no, it's not good enough just to be anti-Trump. It's not good enough to just, be, oh, Russia, Russia, Russia. What does the Democratic Party stand for? And what is the point of being anti-Trump if what you're going to replace Trump with is not going to actually help your community, if you're Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? Let me read you a little bit more of this piece. And by the way, Politico loves to just put out there what anonymous people tell them. They're basically a vessel for the Democratic Party establishment. Incumbent Democrats are I read that part. Even some progressives who admire AOC, as she's nicknamed, told Politico that they worry she's not using her notoriety effectively. Quote, she needs to decide, does she want to be an effective legislator or just continue being a Twitter star? Said one Democrat who's in lockstep with Ocasio-Cortez's ideology. There's a difference between being an activist and a lawmaker in Congress. Well, I don't know who this Democrat in lockstep with her is, because Politico just publishes anonymous people. My guess is it's probably not Rashida Tlaib. It's probably not Raul Grijalva. Probably not Tulsi Gabbard. I can't really think of anyone progressive other than those. So, what Politico determines as progressive, I find sketchy. It's an open question whether Ocasio-Cortez can be checked. She's barely been in Congress a week and is better known than almost any other House members other than Nancy Pelosi and John Lewis. A media throng follows her every move, and she can command a national audience, particularly at will, which is why she should tweet out our Flint story. But I digress. None of that came playing by the rules. Indeed, Ocasio-Cortez's willingness to take on her party establishment with unconventional guerrilla tactics. Oh my God, this part got me the most. So it's unconventional guerrilla tactics to call for regulation on Wall Street, to call for taking the planetary destruction seriously and taking aggressive action to stop the planet from being destroyed, ending private prisons, a Green New Deal, free public college, actual working class and progressive issues. That, and, respectfully taking on members of your party that are suppressing and oppressing the working class. That is guerrilla tactics.
I mean, it's the same old, same old. We knew they were going to do it. We knew the establishment Dems were not going to like AOC coming in. They wouldn't like her star power. They wouldn't like her policies because she's actually progressive. This is just straight out of what we knew they would do. And it's a pain.
And what I find so interesting is you read this and they say guerrilla tactics. It's earned her the icon status of the progressive left. Hold on. The icon status of the progressive left. It's where the 29-year-old freshman derives her power. And by every indication, it's how she thinks she could pull the Democratic Party in her direction. That's not how she derives her power. She derives her power not based on that she tweets a lot. It's based on that the majority of the American people agree with what she's saying, agree with the criticisms of the Democratic Party. If people love the Democratic Party, if people love the Democratic Party's policy solutions, which they don't have any really, the Democrats wouldn't have lost over 1,000 seats in the last decade. Hillary Clinton wouldn't have lost to an orange orangutan. So she's not getting her power and getting her following because she tweets. She's getting it because she is giving the American people, the working people that have basically been attacked, and there's been a controlled demolition of the middle class of this country. She's giving them hope. She's giving them somebody that's actually advocating for them and backing it up with actions. Still, fellow Democrats are giving it their best on or planning in the near future. So far, most of them have kept their criticism of Ocasio-Cortez private, fearful she'll stick her massive following on them by firing off a tweet. But a few are engaging with her in the hopes she'll opt for a different MO, especially when it comes to trying to take out Democrats in primaries. See, that's all they care about. They're very worried about losing their seats. Mm-hmm. They're not worried about, oh, she's going to expose us. They're not worried about, oh, she's going to make us stop taking money from special interests. They're worried about, oh, shit, I might have a challenger, because a lot of these people run unopposed in a lot of cases, or run against weak candidates in primary, or are never primary. They're worried about their political futures, because that's the name of the game: power and money. Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez is playing a key role. Like Ocasio-Cortez, Velázquez knocked off a longtime Democrat incumbent to win her seat, and they share Puerto Rican roots. In private conversations with Ocasio-Cortez over the past few months, Velázquez counseled Ocasio-Cortez against targeting her Democratic colleagues in future elections. The two had a, quote, long conversation about the dynamics of Congress and Washington, and how there shouldn't be a, quote, litmus test for every district, Velázquez said in a recent interview. After she defeated Democratic incumbent Joe Crowley in shocking fashion last year, Ocasio-Cortez supported primary challengers to Democratic Rep Stephanie Murphy of Florida, William Lacey Clay of Missouri, and Mike Capuano of Massachusetts. Only Capuano lost, but Velázquez told Ocasio-Cortez she should think twice in the future before backing primary campaigns against her colleagues. Murphy, the first Vietnamese woman elected to Congress, represents a swing district and could lose her seat if she's forced to move left in a primary, Velázquez said during the talk. Quote, Washington is a political animal where a lot of the work that you want to accomplish depends on relationships within the Democratic caucus, said Velázquez, who described herself as a bridge between Ocasio-Cortez and the caucus. The honeymoon between the voters that you represent and yourself could be a short one. People want to see results. See, that's a very sanitized and propaganda type way of saying the Democratic Party will stifle your progressive policies and your progressive solutions. The Democratic Party will stop you at every turn if you dare challenge our authority. Meaning, the Democratic Party will actively try to suppress things that will help the people that they say they're fighting for. You know, the Democratic Party says, where for the worker bee? Where for the working class? Where for the downtrodden? Basically, that's a fine way of saying, if you don't fall your ass in line, Ocasio-Cortez, if you don't, stop primary challenging us or advocating for primary challengers, then we are going to block any legislative thing you try. Not only are they trying to stop Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez from advocating for primary challenges, they basically are backbenching her. This from The Intercept. Progressives fought for key committee spots, but centrist New Dems came out on top. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez failed in her long-shot bid for a seat on the powerful Ways and Means Committee. According to an announcement from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi Wednesday evening, Pelosi named a member of the New Democratic Coalition. The New Democratic Coalition are those centrist to moderate right-wingers. Like Beto O'Rourke was part of the New Democratic Coalition. It's the same old Clinton-style politicians, business-friendly centrist. The centrist wing of the party. To the seat instead, part of a sweeping set of wins by the Wall Street-friendly caucus. Oh, Nancy, doing the same old, same old. However, Ocasio-Cortez is in line to get a consolation prize, a seat on the House Financial Services Committee with jurisdiction over Wall Street. Sources close to the process said that it is also likely that Progressive Caucus member Katie Porter of California, a financial services expert, will get tapped for the committee, and that Rashida Tlaib of Michigan and Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts are in the running. This would put a strong block of progressives on an important committee headed by Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Democrats have struggled to find many members to serve on financial services, leading to speculation that the party would actually shrink the size of the committee. Alternatively, the quandary could result in progressives being added as a last resort. The imminent Financial Services Committee announcement would take some sting out of several disappointments for Congressional Progressives Caucus, high-profile rising stars, who on Wednesday were largely shut out of new assignments to 3 critical committees where they sought expanded representation. You know, let me break this down very simply. So if the Democratic Party wanted to seize on this momentum, this new voter base, because a lot of new voters voted for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, if they wanted to bring in new people to the fold, progressives, anti-war, Green New Dealers, environmentalists, if they wanted to bring in the Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wing to, I don't know, defeat Donald Trump, maybe they would put, other than Bernie Sanders, who's really more popular at this point than Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in progressive politics, maybe they give them the committee assignments that they want. It doesn't mean that they're dictators and whatever legislation Ocasio-Cortez wants to push, but maybe you would, try and placate the progressive wing if your goal is to win. Just like maybe if Hillary Clinton wanted to win, seeing Bernie Sanders winning 22 states, 13 million votes, might have made, I don't know, Bernie Sanders your vice president, or Elizabeth Warren, or anyone with a beating heart more progressive than Tim Kaine. But I'm beginning to think their main priority is not winning. I'm beginning to think that they'd rather lose. What did Bernie say? They'd rather go down on the Titanic, they're okay going down on the Titanic as long as they have first-class seats. Your thoughts, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. They don't truly care about progressive wins. I think they're happy that they have a Democrat in that seat, but that's the extent of it. They don't like that AOC has her own following, that she has her own thoughts. They don't like it at all. So, there's nothing that we can do, I don't think, to convince the establishment to pay attention to AOC and to give her more standing, a better spot where her people can get behind her and the policies. It's all about the policies. But they won't. They will refuse. I'm more cynical than that. I don't think they're scared because I don't think they allow themselves to be. They think they're the boss, the establishment's the boss, the money rules, and that's how it's always going to be. I think they think Alexandria is a bug in their ear that they have to deal with right now. But I think in the end, they think she'll be easily voted out, or, she won't get the committees she wants, that they can make her go sit in the corner.
Right. And here's another example of just the smearing that goes on against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So this is something she tweeted, I believe, yesterday. So she was pointing out this White House administration has made having a functional understanding of race in America one of the most important core competencies for a political journalist to have. Yet CBS News hasn't assigned a single black journalist to cover the 2020 election. Unacceptable in 2019. Try again. And there she put a link out to who CBS, I guess, had announced as their campaign team. So she put that out. And then some guy, I don't really know who that is, I think he's a reporter, says another thing AOC has in common with Trump: media scolding. Yeah, her pointing out that, CBS should have a black journalist, just one, covering the campaign is the same thing as, President Trump essentially putting a hit out on journalists by this fake media, fake news. I think CNN and that reporting is terrible, but Trump doing the fake news is not about their actual journalistic propaganda. It's just a fascist tendency to basically block dissent. So not the same thing at all, but this guy does a false equivalency, which Ocasio-Cortez pointed out. I keep thinking about this exchange because there are many aspects that are concerning to hear from an editor. This is an editor in the media. This is what false equivalencies look like. Diminishing Trump's, quote, enemy of the people talk as, quote, scolding, and describing my call to hire a black journalist as the same thing. This is fantastic, what she said, because she's getting false equivalencies all the time. I think part of it is because she's progressive. I think a lot of it is because she's a woman, thankfully. We're now,
frankly.
Frankly. So I think that there's sexism at play. I also think, frankly, man, woman, whatever, alien, if you're progressive, they're going to put out propaganda. They're going to try to link you with Trump. I mean, for God's sakes, half of the Democratic establishment was trying to say that Bernie Sanders in some way is, similar to Trump.
We definitely do need a real revolution, because as it is right now, we have some people who sneak through and win seats, but that's about it. Just some here and there.
The final thing I'll point out about Ocasio-Cortez is when they say, she should get in line, go to the back of the room, learn the job, she hasn't accomplished anything. What the hell have you guys accomplished? Mm-hmm. Do you see this income inequality chart starting in the 1980s when the Democratic Party started getting in bed with Wall Street? Of course, it definitely began under President Reagan, but you've had two Democratic presidents. You got Bill Clinton, Barack Obama in the last 30 years. Democrats, what have you accomplished? A Republican health care plan hatched out of the Heritage Foundation called Obamacare? Sure, it's helped a lot of people, but it's not an answer. It's a Republican health care plan that insurance companies love. Obamacare. They love it, love it, love it, love it. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, because I'm on Cobra, which is really, really expensive. My only other choice is Obamacare, but the plans in New York are very, very, very expensive. I'm not a Romney billionaire. I can't pay $700, $800 a month just to use the health care. That's how much you pay per month before getting to deductibles, before getting to co-insurance, before getting to co-pays, or whatever else they're making up. So what has the Democratic Party done? Voted for the Iraq War? Not pushed us to get out of Afghanistan? Not pushed for free public college? Not pushed for universal health care? Pushed racist things like the crime bill and welfare reform? What, has the Democratic Party done anything for you lately?
That's a no, a giant no.
So what has the Democratic Party done that they should say to Ocasio-Cortez, what have you done? Nothing.